What up, everyone? Good morning. Or afternoon, but probably morning. If you're in the UK, it is the afternoon, but for everyone else, it's the morning, afternoon. I don't know. I'm talking shit now. I'm already ruining my intro for today's review. So let's just get to the intro. My name is Steve Smith. Well, I hope you're watching this on the Voice Britannia Twitch channel, but you might be watching this on my personal YouTube channel. Who knows? Regardless, if you're watching it, hit that subscribe button, like button, follow button. Just interact. I like interaction. Let's interact. So, as you've probably seen on the Twitter tweet message I put out telling people about this show, it's Thursday, and because, well, last night's AEW was a huge show. It was a big go-home show. It was a titled show, so I wanted to review this as soon as I could. But also, I quite liked reviewing AEW last Thursday. It meant that I could do whatever the hell I wanted on Friday and Saturday. And I was able to drink a lot of gin and watch AEW Half Cut on Friday night. Which, let me tell you, if there's ever a wrestling show which you're watching and you're like, man, this wrestling show is just not really that good, get drunk and watch it. I guarantee you will enjoy it. So, I mean, and this is probably what's going to happen with this show. I'm going to review this show. I'm going to spend the next hour or so talking about this show. And then I'm going to get Half Cut on Friday night. I'm going to watch the show and I'm going to think, man, my review was shit. Which I should not be saying. I shouldn't be saying stuff like that. This review is actually awesome. It's going to be the best review the internet has seen yet of AEW Dynamite. Probably because there's not many reviewers actually got their reviews out yet. I wanted this out in time for Americans waking up for breakfast. So when people are eating their, what are they called? Cheeto Puffs? I don't know. Tell me what's an American breakfast cereal called? Cheetos. Golden Grahams. When Americans are sitting there eating their Golden Grahams, they can listen to my review. They can listen to this the slightly crazy and agitated Scottish person talking about professional wrestling. So, let's get to it. AEW, The Crossroads. It was held on the 3rd of March 2021. We are still in the pandemic era, but regardless, this was a fun show. It started great. It ended fun, but I feel it lacked a little energy in the middle. Don't worry, we're going to get to this. This is why we're here. I think this show aimed really high, but somewhere during it became a bit of a low energy affair. But I've just realised I'm going to copy, I'm looking at my script just now. I'm going to take that bit I was going to read there and I'm going to read it at the end because I don't think it needs to be read yet. Live editing, everyone. Live editing. And yes, I do write scripts for them. Well, I say I write a script. I take notes. I am terrible at writing scripts. I'm dyslexic. If I write a script, I can't read it properly, so I just take notes. I take notes and read them, and I'm hoping that the notes work. Let's hope it all falls together in some sort of cohesive manner. This is the way. So, we started off tonight's show with the match which was advertised as the main event for the show. Surprisingly, now it was announced that this would be the opening match for the show yesterday or the day before, maybe just Monday. I can't remember where I heard it was going to be the opening of the show. It was possibly on the women's tournament show on Sunday night. That said, we opened the show with what is arguably the main event for the show. Now, this is probably a good thing because this, as filled with star power and people that are oozing charisma and people that have got abs on top of abs, this match could not have been a main event. It just could not have been a main event. I mean, you could tell that it was the first match for some of the people it was their first match. I mean, yeah, they still delivered. I mean, they all looked good. I believe it was Jade Cargill's first ever wrestling match. I believe it was Shaq's first ever wrestling match. Red Velvet, I don't know how many wrestling matches she had, but it's definitely on the lower end and the higher end because she's still relatively new. So this is quite a big match for her so early in her career. And of course, Cody, he's an old hand. We know he's really good. Cody's Cody. So that's who was in the match. You could tell when Jade and that was wrestling that it was early stuff. I mean, I've been there. I remember having I say that. I can't actually remember having my first wrestling match because I was heavily concussed before the match. And the first wrestling match I ever had, I can't actually remember it. I cannot remember any part of being in the first wrestling match I was ever in. I know it happened. I've seen it. I've watched the video. I think a lot of times. It's hilarious. But yeah, I cannot remember being in that match. Wrestling, everyone. Wrestling. This was 2011. This was just before people started caring about concussions. We probably should. Apparently it was a grade 2. But we'll move on from that. Shaq came out. He was huge. Like, Shaq was just like, when he made his entrance, he was just like slow, lumbering. But, you know, it was like the same scary sort of slow and lumbering as a thunderstorm coming towards you. Or, you know, like, if you ever see a tornado in the distance and you know that thing's travelling at like 1 mile an hour, you're 50 miles away, but it's coming for you, and you're just sitting there slowly watching this oncoming storm of hell coming towards you. That's what it was like watching Shaq. I liked it. He was slow, but you would expect him to be slow. He's a big guy, and he's had a long sports career. He's going to be slower, but that slowness did not make him seem weak. That slowness, in my opinion, made him feel so much stronger than he probably could have looked, which was amazing. Not only that, he pumped his guns, and it was about the size of Cody's head. Like, Jesus Christ. I've never seen Shaq next to other wrestlers in this sort of way. So, I mean, I always knew Shaq was big. He's big. He's like Big Show big. He is big. Now, before the match, we got a promo video of sorts. It was a strange one. Like, this show was full of this sort of just strange production choices, like things not happening that should have been there, things not feeling right. And the promo video before the match felt like one of those things. There was no like narration over the promo video until later, until like halfway into it, and then like this was a big match. I thought that we might have like a package, you know, like one of the famous wrestling video package, you know, like a WWE big main event package. AEW does them, WWE does them. Every wrestling company does them. Even independents do them now because they can. Video editing is a skill many people can do. But this wasn't it. It was just clips of the interactions they've had, just strung one after the other, and then halfway through, Excalibur started narrating over it, and it kind of felt weird. It was like, did you forget to narrate? Did you miss your cue here or something? And yeah, it was just strange. I don't see why they didn't have a proper video package put together for this, but they didn't. Jade Cargill, I will say this now, she looked amazing during her entrance and during the match. Just off the charts. Like, she is money. Jade Cargill is money. I can see straight off the bat why WWE wanted her and why AEW went after her. She just oozes charisma. I mean, even at this point of her career, this is like her first match. She seems like she's just comfortable as hell in this position. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, some of the moves looked a bit shonky. Some of the selling was a bit over. But you're going to get that with green wrestlers. You know what I mean? But you could see it's there. She's got it there. Give her a year in this system, 2 years, and she is going to be money. I guarantee she's going to be money. The parts of the match with Jade and Red Velvet were fun. Both women looked really good. Well, I'd say really good. They looked good, but they were both very green. I mean, there was never any obvious mistakes. There was no missteps. But you could just see that they were just quite green, you know? The match, like, I'm going a bit back and forward with this review in this match. The match started with Cody and Shaq, and it was cool. Cody tried to get some offense in, but it just did not work. And Shaq ended up beating him all around the ring. Loads of big monster chops, big forearms to the back. He gave him a power slam. It was awesome. Shaq looked so much better than I expected in the ring. Like, I would gladly watch another Shaq match. Gladly. With the way he like I said, he was slow, but it was like slow in a really intimidating sort of way. You could put him in a match with anyone and it'd be fine. If you put him in a match with someone that can wrestle, he is that big and he can clearly he can hit people. You could probably have alright matches with him. It would be a stretch. It would take someone who knows what they're doing to guide them through it. But you could probably get a decent match out of Shaq if you really tried. I was hella impressed. Really impressed. During the match, the Gun Club interfered. Now, I don't know why the ref didn't end the match right there or throw them out, but it happened. One of Billy Gunn's lads hit Big Show with a chair, and then Shaq with a chair, which led to Shaq beating the crap out of every member of the Nightmare family that was near ringside started getting thrown about, power slammed and stuff, with absolute ease. Not only that, everything he did looked really good. Like, he was slamming people, and it didn't look ropey, it didn't look like he was going to kill people. It looked safe, strong, and like he'd been trained, which was really, really good. But yeah, he got hit with a chair. Thankfully, he totally no-sold it. But I don't understand why that was allowed. The referee just ignores it. Carry on. It's like, okay, fair enough. I mean, there's some people that will really moan about that in AEW, how referee doesn't disqualify people, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? It's fucking wrestling. We're here to enjoy it. Just go with it. Just enjoy the violence, you know what I mean? So, back in the match, I mean, the only really random bit of the match, I thought, the bit that just seemed out of place, was this random... Well, I mean, it seems random, but it came into play later in the match. There was this spot where Jade Cargill, she had Red Velvet down, then she just went outside the ring, and she started setting up a table. I was like, okay. And I mean, she's not rushing about it. She's going at it in a very methodical sort of way. Opens a leg, opens another leg, goes down to the other side, puts it up. You know, so she doesn't embarrass herself by failing to set up a table, which is never a good look. And then... yeah, Red Velvet came out. And then she did the same. She set a table up. And I was like, why are they doing this? Because no one went through the tables. They just set up 2 tables randomly at ringside. No one went through it, so I thought, right, the finish has got to come. It's got to be involving this table somehow. This is going to play into it. So the finish came. Poor Shaq. Oh, I didn't have that. I missed the falling off the ring side. Anyway, the finish came when Shaq was standing on the outside. Jade was in the match. And as you would expect, Shaq had managed to position himself just in front of the tables, just above the tables. Cody hit him with a flying body press. It sent both Cody and Shaq down, out the ring, through the tables. They were out cold. Boom. This was followed up by Jade hitting Velvet with like an implant buster Falcon Arrow sort of move for the win. It was great. I think they needed a way to take Shaq out of the match so someone could win it without it being Shaq winning it. It was good. It protected people. The match got Jade over. You know what I mean? It got Jade the win with wrestling whilst all the stupid shit was knocked out outside the ring. So that was good. Yeah, it was a good finish. I liked it. The start of this match was absolutely Jade Cargill. I think it was her first match, and like I said, I remember the first match. It's not a good situation to be in, and it was good. She looked good, and charisma-wise, character-wise, she's got it. Like, all she needs to do is just have wrestling matches and get better at the wrestling side of things, and she will be money. So post-match, Shaq was KO'd outside of the ring. Doc Sampson was checking on him. Now, we will just say that if you were quick and you caught it on camera, Shaq was okay. He did give Cody a hand squeeze. You could see that, so that was cool. But in the world of professional wrestling, Shaq was out cold. He didn't move. He just looked dead. Like, shit, someone poke him with a stick, like, make him move. During the break, Shaq got taken into an ambulance. Now, there was a strange bit. Like, we've seen Shaq getting taken into the ambulance, right? And then, for no reason, Tony Schiavone just appears, and he's at the ambulance, and he's like, I gotta see what's happening. And he like goes like, the ambulance has not left for hospital yet. Why? I don't know. He was unconscious. He should be going to hospital. Tony Schiavone's just like, I think something's happening. Opens the ambulance and he's gone. Like, Shaq's not in the ambulance. It's like, Tony, did you go to the right ambulance? But no, he's gone. Now, this was the last we heard of Shaq on the show. Who knows where he went after this? We never got any sort of explanation for this. He just, poof, vanished in a puff of smoke. Well, vanished in the back of an ambulance. We don't know. So obviously there was no Shaq Paul White interaction, which we all wanted to see. Let's hope that it comes at the pay-per-view. We know it's got to come. Like, it's a no-brainer that this Shaq Paul White stuff's got to happen. Although, hey, for all we know, the two might hate each other. There was maybe something that we don't know that stopped them working together before. They maybe hate each other. Maybe it's never going to happen. Maybe this is just headcanon. Wrestling community headcanon. I mean, and if it is headcanon, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with headcanon. Headcanon is my bread and butter, quite frankly. Next up, we had Pac and Phoenix versus two jobbers who I forgot to get the names of. Now, this was just an absolute squash match, so I did not even bother going back and getting the names because there's no point really knowing the names. The people in this match are not getting any sort of rub. They're not getting elevated by this match. They got fucking owned. So I just didn't bother with checking the names of who was in this match. Death Triangle Rock. That's all you need to know. This was an absolute squash. I think it lasted like 2 minutes. Like, seriously, it lasted like under 3 minutes, 2 minutes. I have a feeling that Death Triangle could end up the winner. Like, obviously, at Revolution, there is a tag team battle royal. I've got a funny feeling, I've got an inkling that Death Triangle could be the people that end up being the winners of that battle royal. Now, I say this as, why would they be having a random squash match on Dynamite on a go home show for a pay-per-view? And then later on in the show, like at the end of the main event angle that closed the show, there was like a big melee, which we're going to get into, but for some reason, Death Triangle got an entrance in the melee. Well, no one else did. Everyone else just run in. Death Triangle got their video played and got a specific entrance. So I've got a funny feeling that there's a bit of a push ski coming for the Death Triangle. That's Pac and Phoenix. And of course, Penta is coming back at the pay-per-view as well. So that could also play into it. We could see Death Triangle taking control of the tag world at AEW, which is something I would really like to see because I think Death Triangle rock. I think Pac is fucking amazing. Swore again. I think Phoenix is effing amazing, and I think Penta is effing amazing. I think the whole team's amazing. Sierra Miedo, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I can't wait. Next up, we had the Inner Circle press conference. Now, we got a promo video for this. See, like, we've got a promo video for this, but why not for the main event that opened the show? We were showing one of the... So yeah, I'm getting tripped up by words here. We got a promo, but it wasn't like a promo. It wasn't like a cinematic masterpiece. What we got was one of those old WWF style night after the pay-per-view promos, you know, where they use still images to show someone getting beaten up and bloodied and stuff like that. It's unclear why AEW went with this style of video, as WWE used to use that video. WWE made them with that still images as opposed to the video because people had to pay to watch the pay-per-view still. So they would show people stills of the pay-per-view to make them think, oh man, I really need to watch that. It's still available to buy. Let's get the pay-per-view and watch it. So this was all, I mean, it's a bit baffling why they took this style of production with the promo because it's a TV show. You don't need to pay to watch last week's AEW. You can just go and watch the whole thing. It was on TV. Now, that said, I do think that this style of package is something that wrestling fans are quite used to. And I do feel that by showing the still images instead of just a video, it is a great way to signify that the beating that the person take, in this case, the Young Buck's father, was just so violent that it can't be viewed on TV in its full form. So, I mean, it seemed like a strange choice at first, because I was like, man, why are they doing that? It's like, they don't sell the TV show, you can just watch it. But it actually worked, because it was a recapping of a really violent angle, and it made it seem like it maybe was more violent than we're being told. So, it kind of worked. We got a little promo before the press conference. Jericho boasted about being a 7-time tag team champion, teaming with people like Dwayne Johnson, Paul White, but then he said that none of them were as good as MJF. Now, the actual press conference bit was as fun as expected. It started with a question. Now, the first question, I don't know who asked it, and I didn't know what the question was because the famous AEW sound problems hit again, and he didn't get his little bit on TV, so I've got no idea what he actually said. But the second guy asked a question was Conrad Thompson. Now, I know who this guy was, and we heard his question. He asked, if now that the fighting's over, are we going to see Sammy Guevara back in the Inner Circle? The reaction to this was great. MJF called him turkey tits, told him to shut up. Jericho called him a fathead and told him to go back to Nebraska. The both of them are pissed off. They were not in a mood to talk about Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara is an issue that is not allowed to be talked about within the Inner Circle, it appears. Now, next up, journalist Brendan Walker came out. He asked why Papa Buck was attacked. MJF then said that, well, it was self-defense. Did you not see a few weeks ago? Papa Buck attacked Chris Jericho for no reason. Then backstage last week, he attacked us. We had to defend ourselves. It all makes perfect sense. It was really cool. And then, as they're saying this and they're defending, they're giving the self-defense spiel, Santana intervenes and he's like, hey, it was our idea. And he boasts about it being their idea. And he just reminds them all, he's like, hey, there is no line the Inner Circle won't cross. We will go there. We will beat your dad to a bloody pulp. He didn't say that, but that's what they insinuated. It was cool. There was no confusion here. The Inner Circle are bad people. Then, we had probably the best question yet. To Chris Jericho's mass frustration, Eric Bischoff appeared to ask Jericho a question. Now, I absolutely love how AEW use Eric Bischoff in angles to wind up Chris Jericho. It is hilarious. It's like, at this point, it's one of the longest running feuds in wrestling, and it's a feud Jericho's never going to win because he's never going to fight Bischoff, and Bischoff will just always have his view. So it's kind of funny in that sort of way. For all we know, they love each other. For all we know, they might hate each other. Who knows? But it works. They've got a strangely funny chemistry, and I like it. Eric came out and he wanted to ask a two-part question. He first asked if he knew the condition of Papa Buck, and then he went on to ask, he asked Jericho, he's like, in the scale of your stupid ideas you've had in the past, how stupid an idea was it to piss the Young Bucks off by beating up their dad going into a match? That's a really good question. No, it's actually a really good question. Why would you piss the people off? They're going to want to kill you now. Jericho's reactions to Bischoff are brilliant. Like I say, they've got this ironically amazing chemistry together. It's quite funny that Bischoff didn't like him when they were in all those years ago, but that is in the past. The Bucks, as soon as Jericho goes to talk about the Bucks come out. Nick, straight up, calls them all pricks. Now, I don't know why. I just really like it when Nick Jackson calls people pricks. I just like it. Because you're a bunch of pricks. Yes! The Bucks cut this amazing promo about how their dad is the greatest. How he taught them everything they know about faith, love, work, commitment. And that without their dads, there would be no Young Bucks, obviously. But, importantly, if there was no Young Bucks, there would be no AEW. And if there was no AEW, MJF would be at home, working the indies, waiting for callbacks from the Rosie O'Donnell show. But the line of the night was Matt telling Y2J that if it wasn't for the Bucks and their hand in the creation at AEW, then he would be currently jerking the curtain at the Performance Center, which was a fucking belter of a line, because the fact is, we know if Jericho wasn't working for AEW just now, Vince McMahon would be on the phone every day trying to book him, and if he did book him, he would be putting him on Wednesday nights to try and compete with AEW. This is the fucking truth. It was a fucking brilliant... I loved it. It was a brilliant line. This promo by the Young Bucks ended with a pair of super kicks, because they were there to fight. The whole thing broke down. Cutler ran out to help the Bucks. It just became a big melee. The rest of the Inner Circle came out. Everyone was fighting. Then the Good Brothers came out to help. They had a couple of tables with them. Santana and Ortiz were laid out on the tables. One of the tables was at ringside. One of the tables was on the stage. Then Nick Jackson climbed up onto the entranceway tunnel bit. Matt Jackson on the stage, or vice versa. They both jumped off their respective positions onto Santana Ortiz through the tables. It was great. They should have closed the show with this segment. Like, seriously, this was a pay-per-view go-home show ending segment. It was great. It was brilliant. There was a good promo. There was a good fight. And then there was the highest of high spots at the end. You know what I mean? It was just really, really good. This left me wanting more. This is the thing that would have probably made me, if I was like humming and haying about the pay-per-view, if I was like, I don't know if I'm going to buy the pay-per-view, which, let me just tell you now, it's not going to happen because there's an exploding barbed wire match on it and I am fucking there. But if I wasn't a fan of the exploding barbed wire match sort of violence, this would have sold me on it, because this is what sells shows, in my opinion. This sells shows. This was followed up by a really good promo video. Now, this was one of your more cinematic WWE-esque pay-per-view promo videos, and it was for the exploding barbed wire match. Now, it focused solely on the gimmick and how the bulk of the promo focused on the gimmick and how dangerous it is and how people just think it's the most insane thing in the end. And then it ended with like Moxley telling us that if it's the end of his career, then he's going out having fun, you know. Interestingly, during this, we hear that JR has never seen or experienced an exploding barbed wire match before. Now, so his reaction could be gold to this. It could be gold, but I am not buying for a second that JR has never sat down and watched an exploding barbed wire match. Come on. Like, come on. Surely he must have watched at least one of these. But the surprise of the night came for me in this very promo. Now, on screen, up there, you can see a guy in a leather jacket. That is Japanese deathmatch legend Onita. He appeared on screen in the promo. Now, this, like, the exploding barbed wire match is like his signature match. It's like, go on YouTube, look for old IWA Japan stuff, FMW stuff, type in the word Onita barbed wire, you will see some epic violence with this guy. So it was just amazing that of all the people they have in this promo video to sell how violent the exploding barbed wire angle is and the whole gimmick, it's Onita. Like, that is who they needed in this. Him. The only other person, like, the only other people you could have had in this video other than, can I even get my fingers there, other than Onita to sell how absolutely barbaric this would be Mick Foley or Terry Funk. And neither of them are going to appear on AEW as far as I am aware. I cannot wait to see this match. Like, I was a big fan of Moxley long before he went to AEW. And a big part of what attracted me to Moxley's wrestling was some of the death matches and some of the straight up violent angles he was in during his time in CCW and back in those days. Like, I have seen some seriously, insanely violent John Moxley matches, and this is something he has excelled in the past. He is bloody good at violence. This pay-per-view is worth it alone for this match, because this is a match you're never probably going to see again on US TV. This is a genuine once in a lifetime. Well, I don't know, like probably once in a lifetime. I doubt after this you're going to see another exploding barbed wire match in AEW ever again. If we do, then cool. But I'm just saying this now, like, this was the last gimmick I ever expected to see in a match on a pay-per-view in America. It's happening. We need to embrace this. We need to enjoy this. This is going to be a spectacle. Like, an absolute spectacle. This is going to be on par. Like, for people watching this in 2021, this is going to be on par with people watching, like, the first Hell in the Cell match. Well, not the first Hell in the Cell match, but the Hell in the Cell match with Undertaker and Mick Foley all the way back in the 90s. This is going to give people that feeling. This is going to have those moments. This is going to be bloody awesome. I can't wait. So, next up, we had the Jungle Express versus the FTR. And I say the FTR, it's just FTR. Tully Blanchard and JJ Dillon. I can't believe it. So, FTR made their entrances over the break. No, or did they? Did they not? I don't know. Actually, I said that, but now, as I'm saying this, I've got a picture of them making their entrances. So, man, I'm too tired. I need more sleep. But yeah, that's JJ Dillon, the original Four Horsemen manager. Tully Blanchard's gear was also cool as well. He came out in wrestling gear in a jacket with one of his old belts. Amazing. Yeah. In case JJ Dillon was at ringside. It's like, I like that Tully's normally the manager at FTR and Sean, like, and Spears and whatever. But now that Tully's wrestling, he needs a manager, so JJ Dillon comes in. Like, what happens if JJ Dillon has to get in the match? Does Arn become their manager? Like, I just thought that was cool. This was a really fun match. Really, really, really fun match. The matches we have had in this program so far between FTR and the Jurassic Express have been good. I don't think they can have a bad match. Jurassic Express took the early lead with Jungle Boy locking Dax in the snare trap both inside and out of the ring. But while they were out the ring, bad stuff happened. JJ Dillon passed a shoe to Dax, so when Jungle Boy got back in the ring, the ref was distracted and he got owned with a shoe. JJ Dillon's shoe got used to cut off Jungle Boy, and then it was heat time. FTR just beat the shit out of Jungle Boy for a while. It was good. During the match, Tully teased a dive, which everyone watching bought. It's like, come on, man. It's like, you think a 70-year-old man's actually going to do a tope? Like, come on. Other than that, Tully, for a 70-year-old man, looked bloody fantastic in this match. He looked perfectly acceptable in the ring. Everything he did looked fine, and there was other things he was doing that was just like really, really cool. For instance, there was a spot where Jungle Boy was like out and he was in their corner, and he was just subtly standing on his hair, stopping, moving, and just doing all those really old, tricky sort of heel stuff. It was really nice to watch, you know what I mean? It was cool. Lucha Boy and Lucha Boy. Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy went for the Thoracic Express, only got a 2 count. Now, I just mentioned that because I wanted to say the move name. I never realised it was called the Thoracic Express. That has a brilliant name for a move. That is the one where... How do you even describe it? It's like Luchasaurus throws the guy up, they do a flip, and then Jungle Boy catches them and power bombs them. It's a strange one, but it's really cool to see. They hit that, they only got a 2 count though. Tully Blanchard managed to get a hold of Marco during the match, and he hit him with his famous slingshot suplex, which got a big pop, and it looked great. It was total funny on the landing throw. Like, Marco's feet very nearly hit, not Dax, the other one, but he didn't. It was all good. FTR ended up getting the win after help from an unidentified cameraman. We say unidentified, but we find out that in just a second. We later found out it was Sean Spears, Tully's other client, who we all forgot about. So yeah, Luchasaurus got hit with a camera. This allowed the FTR trio to hit Luchasaurus with a triple team spike pile driver, and Tully got the pin and the win over Luchasaurus. It was brilliant. It was, of course, they let Tully get the win. Why not? So I'm guessing that this feud continues. I expect a bit more, but I'm going to get that in a second. After the match, FTR, Tully, Spears, and JJ Dillon all got together in the ring, and they all throw their hands in. And it felt to me like we were seeing the formation of like a new, modern Horseman faction. And then, as if you had any doubts over what you were seeing, and whether what was happening was what was happening, Arn Anderson came out of the tunnel. Now, interestingly, I'm sure he came out the heel side, but I've maybe got that mixed up. He came out the tunnel, and he looked into the ring. He looked in approval. He threw up the 4 hands and went away, seemingly giving his approval to this new Horseman faction that was developing in the ring in front of his eyes. And I mean, this opens up its own questions. It's like, if there's a reformation of the Horsemen, and like a horseman-based faction with the Horsemen leading and training younger people to be stars, where will Arn fall into this? Arn is one of the Horsemen, and if the Horsemen are coming back together and they eventually start feuding with people within the Nightmare family, I could see this becoming a bit of conflict, especially with Arn. It's like, what will Arn end up doing? Will Arn end up becoming a coach for the Horseman faction, or will he stay with the Nightmare family? Questions. I like it. I love it when a match leaves us with questions. It means that they're doing good things with the story, and it means that they're using their head. It was a very enjoyable match, although I am a bit confused by this feud. I mean, was this match a blow-off or not? Like, it was kind of built as a blow-off match, you know what I mean? But I can only guess, like, going with the finish and the cheating and all that it's not going to be the end. We're going further. I expected this match to have some sort of resolution to the FTR's cutting off of Luchasaurus's horns and the whole teasing the haircutting thing. We've had no, like, they did that for like over 2 or 3 weeks, teasing the haircut and the cut his horns off and stuff like that. But we've still not seen any more of that. I thought this might play into the match and lead into something else, but of course, I'm also stuck in that short-term booking thinking. I'm thinking more like WWE would, where they would set up a pay-per-view match 2 days before the pay-per-view. This is not WWE. This is AEW. They don't do that. So wherever this FTR Jurassic Express feud is going, they're clearly building this either for maybe their next big branded AEW Dynamite show or a future pay-per-view. Whatever's happening, we're not getting a resolution anytime soon. It's going to be a long-term storyline, and it now involves a new alliteration of the 4 horsemen. 3 horsemen, 5 horsemen, who cares? Tully, Dylan, it's got it. It's there. The story's building. Good things are going to come from it. Enjoyable match. More enjoyable future. What even was that line? That was a terrible line. I do apologise. Next up on the show, it's the big show. Actually, it's no more BS. So, now this all seemed a bit rushed and unprofessional, actually. Tony Schiavone comes out to the stage to introduce the next segment where he's introducing the big show, Paul White. It's no longer the big show, it's Paul White to AEW. Now, I don't know how they managed to get themselves in this position, and I guess they were just really pushed for time. But like, Tony Schiavone standing on the stage, like the heels are still leaving the ring. Like FTR, Tully, JJ Dillon, Sean Spears are still like in the ring. They're still exiting. And they're like walking past Tony as he's like introducing his next segment. It all just seemed a bit unprofessional, a bit ragtag. You know, it's like, really, like could like why did this happen? I don't know, but it did. Of course, we all know why Paul White is here. He is here to announce his position in the new 80 Dark Elevation show. So, Schiavone introduced his new broadcast partner, Paul frickin' White. Now, I like the t-shirt he's wearing. It says, "No more BS." No more Big Show or no more bullshit. Read that whichever way you want. It is what it is. It's a new t-shirt, and I guarantee it's probably on ProWrestlingTees.com as we speak. So, we got another belter of a line here. Big Paul White just looks to the camera. He's like, "Raise your hands if you saw this turn coming." I was like, okay, that's quite funny. White says he's happy to be at AEW, and he tells everyone about the new show. And you know what? When it comes to talking, by hell, Big Show is slick. You would think that he's been training for this for a while, and I mean, maybe he has been. Who knows? White announced that he's taking this new job very seriously, and to like show us how serious he is about his new job and his new journalistic role, he tells us that he has a scoop. He has the biggest scoop ever. A Hall of Fame caliber talent is coming to AEW on Sunday, and the only person who knows who it is at the moment is Paul White. And he tells us importantly, it is not who we think. Now, I was like, okay. I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't think anyone was coming to AEW, so instantly that caught me off guard. And then I had to think about it. And then lately, basically, I was talking to someone on Twitter about the 6-man ladder match and who might the surprise entrance be. So I'm guessing that the scoop Big Show has got is probably going to be the 6th man in the ladder match. Now, last weekend, Big Cass, formerly of Enzo and Cass fame, made his comeback to wrestling after a bit of illness, and he looked great. He made his comeback on one of Luke Gallows' shows, like small indie shows, don't know where it was, but it happened. So yeah, we know that Big Cass is back in shape, and he's back wrestling, he's trying to do shows, and I don't know if he's a Hall of Fame caliber talent, but he's definitely got it, you know what I mean? There's a reason he was good. So yeah, that's who I think. I think it's going to be Big Cass, or whatever he's called now. That was a bit of a tangent. That's just my prediction. Paul White, slick as hell on the mic. I was hoping for some more from this section, and I was hoping for more from Paul White in general on this show. I was hoping for some interaction with Shaq, or you know what. But whilst the announcement was a bit flat, Paul White's winning smile won me over. By hell, that guy has a nice smile. It just won me over. His smile made me happy. And it just made that little segment for me. Started a bit rough. And to be honest, a lot of the show was actually quite rough. There was a lot of roughness on this show. I don't know what it is with AEW. They seem to be a lot more successful with pre-recorded shows than they are with live shows. I don't know. It's just a thing. Next up on the show, we had Nyla Rose versus Ryu Mizunami. This was the women's tournament final. Now, real talk, before the match, I have somehow missed a match because I cannot remember seeing Nyla Rose qualify for the final match. I remember Mizunami qualifying. She beat Aja Kong to get into this position. But I couldn't remember Nyla qualifying. Now, that said, I'm a big fan of Nyla, so I'm not upset about this in the slightest. It would have been cool to see Rosa go to the finals, maybe Rosa get the championship, but maybe that's coming another day. Who knows? I mean, we've got to remember that Rosa is not actually an AEW talent per se. She's still kind of NWA talent. Or however, I don't know what the picture is. The Forbidden Door's open, who knows? All that stuff might mean nothing these days. Who knows? I'm also a pretty big fan of Ryo Mizunami. She looked awesome in the tournament, and this match she looked great as well. This match definitely did not disappoint. Like a lot of the women's matches in the recent month at AEW, this was solid. It was great. It was just really good. Rio's a class act. She has the ability to have me wincing with her hitting strikes that look just rock solid. Yet within the same 5 seconds, she's got me pissing myself laughing. While nothing seemed like a joke, like that's an art. I really liked it. This was a fun match. Nyla took control early on, beat her. She beat up Mizunami, bruised her, squished her, squashed her. It was great. It was a lovely match. I really liked it. As Nyla is becoming more experienced in AEW, you can see that her confidence levels are rising, and it's really, I feel it's all really starting to come together with her as a wrestler and as the character she is on AEW. She's a real monster, and she's developing into a really, really quite a good wrestler. Nothing but upside. Thinks she's great. We went to the break. Coming back from the break, Nyla missed a top rope senton, which gave Mizunami the opening she needed to take advantage for a small bit. This led to Nyla going outside the ring and Mizunami hitting her with the guillotine leg drop on the apron. Now, this was the same move that she used to beat Aja Kong. So they teased that Mizunami might win by count out like she did over Aja Kong. Rose got to a 9 count with Nyla outside, and since she got back in the match resumed. Now, I want to just mention something here about the people at ringside, right? Can we just stop about this oh chant, right? Everyone in wrestling knows that as the Enzo Amore chant, right? It's a football chant that comes from like English football. Just fucking leave it for English football or for Enzo Amore, because whenever anyone chants this for any other wrestler, it just sounds like they're chanting for Enzo Amore, and it takes me out of the match, and it really annoys me. The guys at ringside are wrestlers, right? They should kind of understand this sort of shit. So just, if any of them see this, stop it or just start hating it. One of the two. I really don't care. The match was a proper battle. It slowed down a bit after the break, but it didn't get any lighter or anything, and I enjoyed it. This is the sort of match I like. It was a real battle, you know. The finish came when Mizunami was able to hit Rose with a really sweet German suplex. She followed this up with her top rope leg drop for the win, and we have our tournament winner, finally, Ryo Mizunami. And we have our main event for Revolution, Hikaru Shida versus Mizunami. So this match is good. After the match, Shida presented Mizunami with the trophy for winning. Ryo went to shake hands with Shida and gave her like a friendly forearm, and then Shida gave her one back. They were both smiling. They were both forearming each other. I couldn't tell if this was like meant to be cute and two friends having a laugh, or if this was meant to be something more serious, and just that Shida and Mizunami are friends with each other, so they thought it was hilarious and were just corpsing the whole way through. I couldn't tell. Whatever it was, I enjoyed it. It was good. I'm just going to chalk this one down to some sort of Japanese tradition or something like that. I enjoyed it. It was good. Let's move on. The match for the pay-per-view is set. Hikaru Shida versus Ryo Mizunami. They're two women that have worked each other quite a lot in Japan. This could be a really, really, really hard-hitting and good match. And you know what? I hope it is. This could also be a chance for AEW to really, really format, resurface, rechange. I'm trying to find a good word for this. Refresh the AEW Women's title picture. Maybe Mizunami would be a good title. I don't know, but I can't see them taking the title off Shida, because they really are presenting her like she is the champ, like she is the top women's wrestler. Not only that, but like in every sort of way, she's like being packaged as a real leader of the women, you know? So I can't see her losing the title match yet, but I can see it being a really, really cool match. Next up, this is Sting. We got the Sting segment, the weekly Sting segment. Now, enjoy this one, because this is probably the last one of these we're going to get for a while. The Revolution is on Sunday. We have had Sting promos like this every week for 6 weeks now. If you didn't like them, if you got bored of them, then congratulations, this is the last one. If you really like them, then I'm sorry to say, you're going to have to wait until the next Sting feud to get more of these. Sting says he feels great, and he is ready for the street fight. He says that he wasn't sure, he thought he was okay, but then he went up against Cage, and Cage knocked the rust off him. Now he feels fine, he's ready to go. Great. Starks came out with a microphone to speak to Sting. He says that he is man enough to admit that Sting still has it and that Sting is still fire. But he then tells him that he is no icon, slaps him in the face, and of course it all breaks down. Sting starts fighting with Starks, then Team Taz come out to help Starks, then Darby comes out to help Sting. This leads to Sting and Darby getting the upper hand over Team Taz and Brian Cage. Darby comes out, hits him with a flying dropkick. It was all cool. It was all great. The match is this Sunday. It's going to be cool. And you know what? I don't know if this is just me maybe overthinking things, but from the start, we've all been told that this match with Sting is going to be a cinematic match, like pre-recorded and... But as I'm watching this, and as I'm hearing Sting cutting promos, it does not sound like he's going to be in a cinematic match. He is speaking like he's going to be in a live match. I don't know if it's going to be I am unsure whether we're actually getting a cinematic match or not. I don't know if Sting maybe feels like he's actually up for a full match. I mean, he's clearly still got it. Clearly is. He's looked great the last few weeks, and he managed to take a powerbomb and Walker. I mean, he's had his health issues in the past, but if you look at his work in the last few weeks and what he's done, he's looked fine. He's looked great. You wouldn't think he's got old in the slightest. So I don't know what's happening here. It was a fun segment, a fun little build up to the pay-per-view, and yeah, if you have been enjoying the Sting segments over the last over the last 6 weeks, then sorry, this was the last one for a while. Next up, we had Max Caster versus Dark Order 10 Preston Vance. Now, this was a qualifier match for the Face of the Revolution ladder match, which is a bit of a mouthful, but there we go. So obviously 10 came out with -1 and the entire Dark Order. -1 now has identical gear to 10, which I think is awesome. I just want to say this now, anyone that dislikes -1 being on AEW can go and suck the biggest bag of fat ones they can, because he is great. The whole thing's great. It's heartwarming. It makes me smile. He is like, there's a kid that's lost his dad like just a couple of months ago, and he's now living a life he could have had. He's like living his dad's life vicariously through wrestling. It's really nice, you know what I mean? And for a kid that's just lost his dad, he's apparently got a really good bond with number 10 of the Dark Order, and I think it's just awesome what they've done. Like here, it's cool on so many levels. I've said it before, it works on a storyline level. -10 is like this child emperor of the Dark Order, and I think it really works. The Dark Order is not this mad, serious faction, you know what I mean? It doesn't need to be all super serious and a kid leader. Sorry, was there not a kid that led China or something in the ancient times? The child emperor trope is not a new one, and I think it works here. But yeah, there's apparently people that don't like -1 and they don't like he's on AEW. Just fuck off, because that's just such a bad opinion and just a real shitty view on things. But yeah, let's get into the match and not just getting shit off my chest. Caster, as per usual, had an opening rap this week, and it was amazing. Although, I mean, I think he maybe went a little too far on live TV. So, I mean, mainly because he's like, one of the lines in his rap this week, he said he was going to light up number 10 like Lady Gaga's dog walker. And I was like, dude, that's a really good line, but like, that poor guy only got shot like 3 days ago and he died. Like, too soon, man. Too soon. Obviously, there was no Bowens in this match either. No sign of Bowens. So, I don't know where he's at this week, but he's not there. He's not there. and I thought it was quite funny, but -1 is becoming really quite confident and slick at moving around ringside and in and out the ring. He got in and out the ring better than Shaq did. So that was just something. Scorpio Sky was on commentary for this match, and yeah, he was being really cocky. I'm sensing that they're flipping the switch on Scorpio. It feels like he's definitely going towards a more heelish sort of character now. All throughout the match, he's calling AEW a sloppy show, which, to be fair, and look, especially in this show, they are quite sloppy at times. It's a good show, but it's a sloppy show. Now, I would not be adverse at all to Scorpio Sky going heel. I think he needs a good run. I think it'd be good. He's a really good wrestler. He's a really good character. I want to see it. And it'd be great to see him get a good solo run away from Daniels and Kazarian and the whole, whatever the tag team was called. I forgot. It blanked my head. The match itself was okay. The match we've seen Caster and 10, that is. There was nothing special in the match. It was not any sort of match of the year candidate. It was just a solid match which fit on this show. Now, on the commentary, like I said, Scorpio Sky was panning the show. He was slagging off the wrestling of both wrestlers in the ring. He claimed that he is the most overlooked wrestler in AEW. I mean, to a degree, he is probably right. He is vastly underestimated. It became apparent that this match was here more to introduce Scorpio Sky's new attitude and new character and his intentions, as opposed to the actual action in the ring. I mean, sure, we were getting another person into the ladder match, but if we're being honest with ourselves, we know that whoever wins this match here will go into the ladder match, but they are not going to be the person who wins the ladder match. This is not WWE. They're not going to surprise us with some arse backwards booking just to surprise people. They're not the top contenders, right? So I think it was a clever way of introducing Scorpio Sky as a heel, because over the whole match we just had him burying everything. So I like it. I think it worked for that. The match, if you were watching this with the sound down, you were probably like, this is okay. It's a match. It's okay. But if you're watching with the sound up, then you get what was happening. I feel like the match went a bit longer than it should have. That's just a personal thing. I'm always like that. I like matches to end when I feel they should end. I'm very snappy with that. I'm very binary with that. I'm like, if a match goes past the point, there's always a spot in a match where that's it. That's the climax. That's where it needs to climax, you know? This went after that. The finish came, regardless of when I think the finish came, or too early or whatever, it came when Caster got Vance hung up on the ropes, and whilst Caster had the referee's attention, Jack Evans appeared from under the ring, grabbed Caster's boombox, and smashed Preston Vance on the head with it. Now, there we go. There's the picture of Jack Evans at 8 o'clock. Poor old Preston with a ghetto blaster. Boo! Now, I wasn't sure if Jack Evans is now a member of the Matt Hardy brand or if he's just working for the Matt Hardy brand, but this quickly became apparent because Matt Hardy appeared on the stage with a big envelope, as you can see above there, to Mr. Jack Evans that contained $4,200. So it would appear that Jack Evans is working for the Matt Hardy brand, but he's not signed the contract. He's not contracted. He's just on a date-by-date basis, you know what I mean? Freelance. So we're getting more build there between the Hardy brand and the Dark Order and the Hangman and the whole war that's going to be building up here. I mean, my gut feeling is that we are building to some sort of Hardy brand versus Dark Order cinematic final deletion sort of match. I really hope that is the case. I think that the last Hardy brand big cinematic match, it felt a bit forced, you know what I mean? It was the one earlier, and it was with Sammy and stuff. It was good, but it felt a little bit forced. The storyline didn't seem that good. Things just didn't seem to be popping. The Hardy character wasn't working that well because the pandemic hit. There was no crowd. There was all sorts of things fed in to the last Hardy cinematic match that made it not as good as it could have been. But when you think that you've got this new Hardy brand, Hardy with a new gimmick, he's not broken, he's not trying to delete people, he's just trying to make money. You've got Hardy as the bad guy, you've got the Dark Order, you've got Hangman, you've got Hardy and his allies, and you've got the Battleground. This could be good. I'm just waiting for Senor Benjamin to be told to prepare the Battleground for Massacre. I'm sure it's coming. This has got to be coming eventually, so I just want it to happen. I like it. I want another final deletion, but I want one that's good, like something really, really good. So we then got to the next week on. Actually, we didn't get told what was happening next week on AEW Dynamite because this Sunday is the Revolution pay-per-view. Now, it's important to mention that the pay-per-view is on Sunday night, not Saturday night. This is something I don't like. I really liked that AEW's pay-per-views were on a Saturday night. It made them much easier to watch, especially for people like me in the UK. Putting pay-per-views on Sunday night for people in the UK means they've got to stay up until 4 in the morning on a Sunday. Most people have work on a Monday. That's just not doable for a lot of people. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, but there you go. It is what it is. We are told that on Sunday, on the buy-in show, we will have Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker versus... Thunder Rosa and Rio versus Britt Baker and Reba. They said Reba there, not Rebel, or Reba, not Rebel. Her name's Rebel, not Reba. It says it on Twitter. Rebel, not Reba. I know it's a joke. It's funny. I pop for it. So it's very, very stupid. We then quickly get a Miro promo because we are going to see Miro and Kip versus the best friends. Well, that is Orange Cassidy and Chuck on the pay-per-view. He says that he is going to give people what they want. Destruction! And then Miro starts cutting a promo in Bulgarian and then just at the end of it shouts, "Game over!" It's like, yes, I'm sold. Fuck yeah. Give me Rusev, give me Miro shouting in Bulgarian. I'm there. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I love Miro when he's being Bulgarian and violent. Why? I don't know. I'm just like that. So I'm a fan of violence. What can I say? We are told about the Face of the Revolution ladder match. It is going to be Penta, Cody, Lance Archer, Max Caster, Scorpio Sky, and a surprise entrant. My money is on it being Big Cass, Colin Cassidy. Paul White will announce AEW's latest major signing. Now, I'm gonna say that the Big White announcement is going to lead into the ladder match. That seems to make the most sense to me, unless we're going to get two major signings at one show. Could that happen? How many people could AEW be signing? I mean, who is actually left out there to sign in AEW? Like, who really is there left out there to sign that they would want? CM Punk? Nah. No chance. He's not coming back to wrestling. We will get Hikaru Shida versus Ryo Mizunami for the AEW Women's title. We have the Matt Hardy versus Hangman Page big money match. Brian Cage and Ricky Starks will face Darby Allin and Sting in the street fight. Now, we were always told this was going to build. We weren't told by AEW, but we were told by reporters who have been told by AEW that this was going to be a cinematic match. The way Sting's talking about it, it seems like it's going to be an actual match, so we'll see what happens with this. There's also going to be the Casino Tag Team Battle Royal, and at first I was like, another Battle Royal, but you know what? AEW's Tag Team Battle Royals are actually quite entertaining, so this could be fun, and this would actually be a really, really, really good way to start the pay-per-view off, so yes. We will have the Young Bucks and Jericho versus Jericho and MJF with Wardlow for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, which should be a really good match. And the main event of Revolution, Kenny Omega with Don Callis versus Jon Moxley in an exploding barbed wire match. We are going to witness the Moxley Extermination Chamber, which has been built by Kenny Omega and Don Callis. They are going to try and take Jon Moxley out of wrestling forever. I have no idea what's going to happen in this match. I mean, Moxley could win the title back. Yeah, that's positive. Moxley might take a big loss and go for a few months, take some time off, be there for the birth of his kid and whatever. Who knows? It's impossible to tell what's happening in AEW storylines sometimes, and I really like that. Now, let's get to our main event of the evening. It was Matt Hardy and Mark Quinn versus Hangman Page and John Silver. Now, I get the feeling that we had a different match advertised here. I thought we were getting a match with Private Party and stuff, but maybe I'm just on a different page with this today. Now, the main event only had around 8 to 10 minutes of TV time left, so I was not expecting anything major from this match, which, to be honest, just from seeing how much time was left in the show, it was a bit of a downer, as, to be honest, like, it's a go-home show. I expect go-home shows to finish with some sort of big angle to sell the pay-per-view on it, you know what I mean? And then we did get an angle. Like, don't get me wrong, there was an angle that closed out the show that leads into the pay-per-view, but it wasn't that big, and it wasn't an angle that would make you throw money at your TV to watch more wrestling, you know? It was just an angle. So, we'll get into the match. Silver came out with the entire Dark Order. They then waited on stage for Hangman to appear. Then they all posed with Hangman. It was cool. They all looked like they're having fun. I liked it. JR quickly explained the stipulation for the big money match, which in itself was quite funny to hear, because JR explained it just like me. He's like, yeah, the stipulation's a bit weird. It's like they're fighting each other for their first quarter earnings. That includes merch and stuff like that. It's like, all I'm going to say is whoever loses the match just needs to look at British politics and just copy what the Tories do. They know how to do tricky bookkeeping. That's all we need to do. Matt Hardy could lose this match and not lose a penny. All he's got to do is defer all his income to the next quarter. You know? Just don't cash those checks. All Matt Hardy has to do is just sit on the checks until the next quarter, then put it in, then it becomes the next quarter earnings. I don't know if this is a plot hole. Maybe this is where the angle's going to go. Maybe this is Hardy's big scam the whole time. He's like, you think you're going to get me? I'm cleverer than you. Who knows? He is big money, Matt. He is supposed to be the guy that knows about money. So, who knows? Who knows? Silver and Quinn started the match. The match was entertaining as hell. I just feel that this match was in the wrong part of the show. I feel that this match should have been in the middle of the show, and the Young Bucks MJF Jericho segment should have been at the end. Or even have Moxley and Omega closing the show. But I mean, I'm going to get to the Moxley and Omega bit in a sec. Hangman and Silver got the win. But it was a good match, right? Don't get me wrong. This match was actually really entertaining. Mark Quinn looked great. Hangman looked great. Silver looked great. And Hardy looked great. It just kind of distracted me where this match was, and that this was closing out the show on a paper, it just kind of got me that this was the go home angle for this show. It just kind of, it sent me off kilter a bit. After the match is where things got exciting, and it's like really all we need to talk about in this. Hangman and Silver got the win, but of course Matt Hardy got the better of Hangman after the match. After the match, Hardy had a microphone and he just starts beating the shit out of Hangman. He's got him in the ground and he's just beating the crap out of him. Oh, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Which actually I quite liked. It was good, it was violent and hell. I'm going to beat you, I know, blah, blah, blah. Hardy's ranting away. And then, obviously, the Dark Order all run out to make the save for Hangman. They all start fighting with the people in the ring. Then, I couldn't tell if it was Hardy's allies, people Hardy has paid, or if it was just people that just wanted to fight. They all run out and started fighting with the Dark Order. Then it just seemed like everyone from backstage came out to just join in the fight. And it was just a huge, huge brawl. I don't really know why it was happening. I don't know why so much people run out to fight. It just happened. They were closing the show with a brawl. It's a bit generic, you know. It's like, come on, man, really? And then, yeah, like, as I said before, it feels like Death Triangle are getting a push or something like that. Whilst this whole, as you can see in the picture above, how many people were in the ring? Like 20 odd people. None of them got any sort of music proper entrance. But then randomly, Death Triangle got a full, like, their music played. They got the video played. Death Triangle ran out and started beating people up. So yeah, it was just all a bit weird, you know. It is not the way I would end a go home show before a pay-per-view. So let's get to my feelings and my reactions about this last night's AEW. Just straight up, I thought the show was really flat. I did not think it hit the marks I would expect a special named show to achieve. I mean, we look at Beach Break. We've got the other big shows that AEW have done in the past have been awesome, but I think doing a big branded show like this and conflating it with a go home show was just really not a good idea, because you're trying to do a go home show is a specific sort of show. It's a show that's there to sell a crowd a pay-per-view. Now, you're conflating that with the special branded shows, like your named Dynamite episodes. Now, they're big shows, so that is like the opposite of a go-home show. You should have a go-home show for those shows. Those shows can't really be go-home shows, and I think this is what happened here. The show just didn't really work for me in that aspect. Now, my biggest criticism of this show is that AEW didn't really... I mean, sure, we had the little promo in the middle about the Kenny Omega and the Mox build-up for the main event of the pay-per-view, but they didn't... There was no real angle on this show for the main event of the pay-per-view. Now, if you were watching this in America, and probably on YouTube as well, AEW Dynamite was followed by a countdown show, which they told us was going to go in depth into the Moxley and Kenny Omega feud and tell us about that match and build it up for us. But, I mean, and that's fine for people that live in America and people who have access to TNT. But this is a real misstep for your global audience. I mean, I've looked on the EPG. I can't find this show on ITV. Now, ITV4 is the channel which broadcasts AEW in the UK. There's loads of people in the UK that only watch AEW Dynamite on ITV on a Friday night. Now, none of these people that are watching ITV on a Friday night are going to see, like, they're going to be told about this Road to Crossroads countdown show, but we're not going to have any access to it. Now, they do a little bit of editing for the UK show, so I'm hoping that on the UK show they tell us, go to YouTube, watch it here, or in the past, ITV have shown AEW countdown shows, so we might get to see it. I don't know, but as of at the moment, and as of my looking at the EPG on the free sat system, because I've got free sat, not Sky, I couldn't find it, and I can normally find anything on the EPGs if it's there. Now, I just think this is a misstep, you know, like. A go-home show should be ending selling your biggest match for the pay-per-view. And that's the Omega and Moxley match. It's a fucking exploding barbed wire death match. They should have had something on the show that showed us exploding barbed wire. You know, like some. I mean, sure, they had that little promo, but there was nothing in the AEW. There was nothing in Daly's place. We just seen a grainy video from Japan in the 90s with Anita. It's like, is that really enough? I feel that there may be given a bit too much mystery to this. I mean, there's other stuff that's coming in, inconsistencies with the way they're building the match. For instance, they showed us videos of the Moxley Extermination Chamber. Now, JR's telling, I think it was either JR or Excalibur told us that all the ropes are going to be taken off, that it's going to be a no-rope barbed wire match. Yeah, in the promo video, we're getting shown the Moxley Extermination Chamber, and there is quite clearly ring ropes there. It's not a no-rope barbed wire match. They've got a frame up around the rope. So, I'm hoping that this countdown show clarifies this a bit, but I think that they should have showed this on the show, because it's a go-home show. And again, this comes back to them conflating a go-home show with a special show. Bad idea. I just think it was a bad idea all round. Now, after I watched the show twice, I think the matches were good, right? I mean, there was nothing bad on the show in any way, shape, or form in terms of wrestling. The show just lacked fire and like a real sense of direction. And it just seemed like a bit of a mess show, you know? So much of the show seemed like it was just there for the sake of being there. This was not, it didn't feel like the usual sort of AEW booking where everything's had some sort of reason or made sense. I mean, the only real match, there was only a few matches on the show which really felt like they meant something going forward, like the FTR match and the Hardy match, and obviously the women's match as well. That led into the tournament final. One thing we have learned about AEW in its first year in a bit of business is that whilst Tony Khan has managed to win Booker and Promoter of the Year awards, and he is outstandingly good at what he does, he has shown that he has still got a lot to learn when it comes to these go-home shows. Like, there is a kink in his game and that needs ironed out, and this is it. It is the go-home show and the concept of booking a go-home show. I mean, AEW have never failed to draw a good amount of pay-per-view buys in the future when with what they do on pay-per-view, both before AEW was on TV and since it, even in the pandemic era, they've had millions of eyes watching them on pay-per-view. That said, if your go-home shows are better and your go-home shows are more effective, then that would lead to more people and more eyes. So this is something I think it's AEW. I mean, AEW is still a young company, so this is something we could easily see Tony Khan get on top of and fix for the future. But I mean, in our current climate in the last year and a bit of AEW being on TV, this is the one concept that they have struggled with, is go home shows. I mean, there was other issues on the show tonight as well. We had the sloppy sound issues that we've not had in a few weeks. They were back. There was some bits we couldn't hear, some backstage segments where you couldn't hear. I mean, that's not cool, but they have been improving on that. They've been working out those kinks, and there is this whole thing where the pre-recorded shows just feel better produced and just feel like better shows than the live shows, and that's quite strange in itself, you know what I mean? I think this is a show which aimed high, but it became a bit of a low energy affair because it tried to do too much. I don't think combining the big match, like I've said, I don't think combining big matches with a go home show was a good idea in the slightest. I'm not a fan of this. I think that, I mean, I know I just said that I think AEW is slipping back into this strange area where the live shows appear to lack the energy of a pre-recorded show. And I understand that view does make me sound a bit hypocritical, because I've always said that we should be able to judge wrestling matches with or without fans. And the only difference we're noticing between the pre-recorded shows and the live shows, in most cases, is the piped-in audience. So the audience sounds are not always needed, but they have proved in the past that maybe this is helping on the show. Now, I don't know. I don't know if it's that. I'm looking at the audience sound bit because I'm trying to find reasons why I found this show to be flat. Thinking about it now as I'm reading the scripts, as I'm reading notes, and as I'm thinking about it with you live here, no, I think it was just the booking of the show that made it feel flat. I think they tried to do two different sorts of shows in one show, and it didn't really work. But as I said, at least we got some good wrestling, we got loads of violence, and on Sunday night, the Revolution pay-per-view is coming up, and it should be great. Exploding barbed wire match. I genuinely cannot wait for that. So that is me done for the day. That is my AEW review for this week. If you have watched this, thank you for watching. Please share this with everyone you know. If you've not watched this, boo, you're missing out. This is the greatest AEW review on the planet. You should be watching it. I'm saying this to people that are not watching it. So who am I speaking to? I'm speaking to myself. My name's Steve Smith. I am broadcasting this on the Voice Britannia channel and on my Stevie YouTube channel. Come back and watch me later. Bye.